a team that you thought had a puncher's chance that rolled over like a bunch of dogs on Sunday down there in D.C., the Washington Redskins, who had a very interesting season. Kind of break it down, talk a little NFL playoffs as well. Lake Lewis does a great job covering the Skins for USA Today. Also, Redskins Wire. Check him out on Twitter. Follow him at Lake Lewis. What's going on, pal? Happy belated New Year.
Happy New Year to you, my friend. What's up, man?
Everything is going well. I'm wondering how bad are they killing Cousins down there?
It's mixed reviews as always. I mean, Q, down here, a lot of people still, feel like he was handed a job and they didn't work with RG3. And then you have fans who are going to be Cousins supporters through thick and thin, and they're going to tell you that he broke every single season Redskins franchise record that basically he set last year. So there are a lot of people that just feel like, with him coming into this year that he was going to take a step forward, and he did. But as far as the money now that they may have to give him, I'm not sure about that myself.
Let me ask you this. Go back quickly to the game on Sunday, because I got the sense that Washington was waiting, and I don't want to equate it to almost like high school ball or college ball, but I have to, because they got to get crushed here. It's almost as though they were waiting for the Giants to start to sit players, and then they thought they were going to turn it on. They played with absolutely no desperation. They came out very sluggish, and the Giants were the team that played the game as if it was a win and get in.
Yeah, you're exactly correct on that. And I'll go one further. They haven't been able to get up for big games in modern memory. I mean, they just, for whatever reason, you go back 2 weeks ago to the Monday night game against the Panthers, a chance to beat a downtrodden football team that had nothing to play for, and Carolina was the team that came out with everything, looking like they were the team that trying to make the playoffs. So the Redskins, for whatever reason, they're going to have to address the lack of leadership in the locker room. I mean, there's some guys that are very talented. We know that. But I don't know if they have a guy in that locker room that will demand excellence, that will get in people's faces. And the guy that I think could have been that guy, Niles Paul, was injured this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they have, that tough guy in this year's group. Next year, sure, they'll have some of those guys back, but they just laid down when they were supposed to rise to the occasion. And that also could be a lack of coaching, too, where the coaching staff, Jay Gruden, Sean McVay, Joe Barry, for whatever reason, they didn't get these guys to come out and play with a sense of urgency.
Let me go to Cousins quickly for a moment, because obviously he hasn't really played well against the Giants, and they've had a lot of success over the years against Washington, even in down there. Look, he didn't have a good game. To me, if you want to get paid like a franchise quarterback, right, when we start to talk about a $100 million contract, you got to find a way to win that game. With that being said, when it's all said and done, do you think they will tag him, or is there internal talks that, okay, listen, as long as you you still have that offensive mindset and you've got the guys in place, i.e. like a McVay, if that can only help, Kirk Cousins' price tag. Like, do you think when it's all said and done, they franchise him again, or they give him that money? Because you just can't let him walk. He's still a good quarterback.
No. You can't let him walk. I mean, that would set you back. Even if you got to ask the question, who are you going to bring in that's better? Maybe long term you can draft a guy that has more upside, but you're not going to get a free agent in this year's free agent class that's going to just come in and pick up where this guy left off. Well, you just hope that he can make some strides and progress and get better in the red zone. Also not go in the tank when things don't go well, because that's one thing that I have noticed about Kirk is that, after he made the infamous statement to Scott McCloughan, how do you like me now? And
right.
After the Green Bay win, he was never the same, actually, after that. So I'm not saying his head got too big, but he just seemed like he was content at that point, that his body of work spoke for itself. But the goal in this game is to get to the Super Bowl, win playoff games. And you look at the guys in his division, he's not up to par with that. So with that said, I think they do need to re-sign him. I think that they just need to go ahead and franchise him and bite the bullet for one more year. They're going to have another tough schedule next year against the AFC West and the NFC West. So, it's going to be interesting to see how he does. I do think that they do need to have a philosophy change in offense, though. I mean, the numbers and everything look great, Q, but at the end of the day, you can't score in the red zone, and you're not winning games you're supposed to win. So that doesn't mean anything to me. I'd rather take a boring team with a cloud of dust that's winning Super Bowls than a team that looks great and finesse, but they can't win when they're supposed to.
What's interesting is the Redskins are going to face a pretty tough decision from the offensive side of the ball. Desean Jackson and Pierre Garçon, they both face free agency. Again, you can speak a little more to this. What I've been told, I think they would rather bring back Garçon, but what I thought was really telling is the quote from Gruden where he said, basically, to paraphrase, it's our job to make sure we target the ones we definitely want back that have an impact on the football team, not only from a talent standpoint, but from a leadership standpoint. Now, look, Desean Jackson has kind of been the model citizen in Washington. And I know if he walks, I'm sure the Eagles would love to make a phone call, to reach back out to him in a nice reunion. But here's the two things. To me, Garçon, I think, is the tougher receiver. He'll go over the middle. Desean Jackson still stretches the field. I don't know if Desean Jackson will command, say, a $25 million a 3-year deal. I don't see that. I think $6 or $7 million. The question is, with those two, who stays, who comes back?
That's just a great point. And actually, on Redskins Wire, we have an article about that. And it's Pierre is the consummate professional. He's not a guy that's too combustible in the locker room or anything like that. Not saying Desean but Desean is the ultimate playmaker. We get that. But if you look at what Pierre does for the team, I mean, he blocks well, which Desean doesn't. Let's just call it like it is. Pierre's more physical. He's reliable game in and game out. And he's durable. I mean, the guy has like the second longest starting streak in the NFL. So Desean is a little bit more brittle. We understand he's a smaller guy. I think in this offense, Pierre has more value, just over the course of 16 games. Desean does stretch the field out for you. But if you can go out and draft a guy that maybe has that kind of speed, which is kind of rare, to get that kind of speed,
yep.
You might be able to replace him more than you could a Pierre. My issue is I think both those guys may be gone, believe it or not, because they want to get paid at this point in their careers, and they're probably not willing to take too much of a pay cut, especially with a new CBA coming in to play for the players. So with that said, it's going to be interesting to see if they want to keep one or if they want to keep both. I will say this, though, for Eagles fans in your market, the Eagles are one of the cap strapped teams.
Yep, they are.
So they only have $12 million to play with. So I'm not sure if you want to put 60 to 70% of that cap money down on a player, regardless of how dynamic he is. That may be an issue you have to look at. And then if you're talking about other NFC teams, the Cowboys are dead last in cap money. So the Redskins are 6th as far as having the most money. So don't be surprised if they perhaps sign Cousins to a long-term deal and franchise one of the receivers and then just sign outright the other one. Don't be surprised if they do that.
I want to ask you one more on the Skins, then we'll move on to the games. And again, it's 1:30 on a Wednesday, a couple minutes with Lake Lewis. Does a great job covering the Washington Redskins down there in the D.C. area at the Redskins Wire. And, of course, USA Today. Check them out on Twitter at Lake Lewis, Sports Journey as well. Sean McVay, there's a couple of really interesting articles. Can a 30-year-old really become an NFL head coach? I mean, is he kind of the hot commodity right now, that hot name out there?
I'm going to say this, and it's hard for me to do it, but Sean's my boy. I mean, I get along with him great. He's one of the nicest guys you ever meet, and he's a brilliant offensive mind. But I've said this, and I'll say it again, Sean has trouble game managing, and I think that comes with that age, lack of game experience. Every guy in this locker room will tell you that he's brilliant at drafting up plays, but again, when you have to put it together in a game and run plays a certain side of the field for the next play coming up, that's not his strength right now. So to take that jump to be a head coach, I think that's just the league, what it does. Anyone that has a high-ranking unit,
sure.
Coaches are going to go after those guys. I will say this, Sean McVay, though, if he is given a head coaching job, that may come with another price tag with it, and that may come with the fact that he may try to purge Kirk Cousins to come wherever he ends up.
I was actually thinking about that. Kind of, and I don't want to say
Absolutely.
A package deal, but just kind of, okay, here's familiarity. Here's my guy. I'm taking him with me.
And it could make sense. LA is the team that's talking about him. yeah, they drafted Goff #1, but I think you and I both agree that guy may not be what you guys have seen all year in Wentz. I don't see it with him. I just don't. That's just me. Hopefully he proves me wrong. But if you're a coach that comes in and you have a chance to bring a guy that's orchestrated your offense to record numbers in 2 years, you're going to probably try to get him to come in there. And the flip side to that, too, is that Kirk's not necessarily young. I mean, he'll come in the next year at 28, almost 29. So, he only has, a certain amount of, time left as far as the window for him. So maybe you can keep Goff and still develop him for a couple of years until he's really ready to make that push.
2 more quickies before we get out of here. Wild card weekend, always a great weekend in football. I'm not too concerned too much with the Raiders or the Texans. The Lions and Seahawks game, it's kind of intriguing because Russell Wilson has not had a Russell Wilson-type season. That line breaks down. I know they're at home, but I give the Lions, just like I would give Miami traveling to Pittsburgh, a puncher's chance in this one because of the weapons, because of Stafford, the emergence of that other running back. Is Seattle, in your eyes right now, when you look at these games this weekend, are they a vulnerable team, especially at home?
No, I don't think so. I actually think Seattle's going to blow Detroit out.
Okay.
I really do. I think Detroit's a good football team, and congrats to Jim Caldwell, former Penn Stater. I got to say that.
Could have used his coaching the other day, but hey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on, man. No one expected them to play.
Oh, come on. They played that game not to lose.
Hey, listen, they're still going to be top 5 next year, preseason.
We'll
trust
see.
me.
All right.
Both those schools. So anyway, if you go back to Detroit, they've proven that they can play with anyone. I mean, they've proven that, but they've proven that they also kind of fall apart in the fourth quarter a little bit against really good opponents, and that's exactly how I see this game going in Seattle. They'll be hanging around in the third, but come fourth quarter, I think Seattle pulls away from them. The team that I think needs to really be on alert, I think it's the team your boys are playing.
Green Bay Packers. Here's the thing.
To be on alert.
This is not 2007. It's not 2011. Their offense has been very stagnant. I give them a puncher's chance to go on the road because of the pedigree of Manning and their defense. The problem is you've got to have playoff Eli because he's had a down year, and I think that's fair to say, regardless of a lack of a running game or the offensive line. You cannot turn the ball over in the playoffs on the road against Aaron Rodgers. You just can't do it. And if they turn the ball over, they're not winning the game.
No, that's true. I mean, I think I've said this all year long. I think that the Giants should run the kid from UCLA a lot more.
Paul Perkins.
I think Perkins is a really good back in that system specifically. But what I saw last week, I got to tell you, I was really impressed with the way they came out in technically a meaningless game. However, when you look back at it, it wasn't meaningless because, let's face it, the Giants, 4 out of their 5 losses were on the road this year.
They were.
So they wanted to come into a situation last week where they wanted to get some kind of simulation of a playoff atmosphere, even though FedEx Field was not. The crowd was quiet just like the team was. So at the end of the day, they accomplished what they wanted, and I think that could springboard the Giants. I really do. I mean, they're the only team to beat the Cowboys this year twice. They're going to feel good about that. If they beat Green Bay, that's where they're going next. So,
well, I've said this. My contention is this, like, as we wrap it up. I said I think the winner, whoever survives Green Bay and the Giant game, the team that moves on, I think they're going to make a serious run to the Super Bowl because I think you've beaten a hot team or you have another team that's starting to get hot and already knows they can beat the team that they're going to have to play. Keeping online that Seattle beats Detroit, and then you have one of those teams go to Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I don't think Dallas is a safe pick to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, they're a strong pick,
sure.
Don't get me wrong. But you don't want to play, and I'd said this about the Redskins. If they had won last week and made the playoffs,
you don't want to play them either.
The Cowboys don't want to play any team out of their division.
Nope.
That's just the law of averages states that you're going to lose, and you look up those numbers, and they've been proven.
Yeah.
Cowboys feel good about where they are. They looked really good last week, even though they lost. But the starters looked like starters. Yeah. So they're going to be a tough out. But I do think that if the Giants beats if the Giants beat the Packers, I think they have a chance to get Dallas for the third time, and that'll be kind of crazy.
It will be interesting. All right, pal, enjoy the weekend slate of games. We'll talk next week. Always appreciate the insight. Good stuff as always, bud.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Take care now.
Be well. Lake Lewis joins us for a couple moments.